You guys have seen, you've seen this, definitely. Haven't you?
Yeah, it's just insane.
Yeah.
I just fast forward to Austin.
Now you can, yeah. And we saw Tom Hanks there playing Elvis's manager, Colonel Tom Parker.
What a legend.
But this is your first big role as a very experienced actor. Did he feel responsibility to you, or did you just go, this is your moment, you go, you shine?
Well, I had no idea what it was going to be like. You know, whenever you meet somebody that you admired for a long time, you hope that they're going to be warm to you, but you never really know. And somebody like Tom, you know, he's been doing this for so long, and he's such a master of his craft. And so I was intimidated. And then the first time that I met him, Baz had this little house in Australia with along this riverbank. And so I came and I knew I was going to be meeting Tom for the first time. And I walked through the house and see Tom and Baz down by the river. And I come walking up and Tom turns around and he sees me and he goes, "My boy, give me a hug." And he gives me the biggest bear hug.
Oh my God.
And then Baz said, "You know, let me give you guys a moment." And so Baz went into the house and Tom and I just talked for so long. And at one point he said, "You know, I was at the studio earlier today and I was choosing which doors I was going to throw up outside of for the first couple weeks." And I said, "Well, why, you nervous?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, I'm so nervous." I said, "You're nervous? I'm terrified." And he goes, "And nobody knows what Colonel Parker sounds like. Everyone knows what Elvis sounds like." So suddenly we were colleagues, you know, we were both being able to share in our fear and in our, you know, we were joined in that way.
And I heard you talking about, I think it was quite early on in the process, where you kind of connected to Elvis through your mothers.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing, you know, when you approach somebody like Elvis Presley, he's so much larger than life. You know, and he's either a Halloween costume in certain people's minds, or you have people who go to the house that he was born in and they kiss the floor when they come inside. So he almost becomes raised to the level of a deity in certain people's minds. But for me, I knew that I needed to find the humanity in him. So I was really, when I started doing research, just trying to find whatever key it was into who he was as a human being. And I was watching a documentary where I learned that his mom passed away when he was 23. And I was 23 when my mom died. And so it was, suddenly in that moment, he ceased being this icon, Elvis Presley, and I knew what it felt like at that age to lose your best friend, to lose your mother.
Yeah.
And so that was the first key in, you know.
And anyone who's seen the movie, I don't know how many of you have, will know that you leave this movie feeling like you've seen Elvis in concert. Yeah. It's just, I've never seen anything like it. And I remember when I talked to you, just for Cannes, the Elvis voice was still very present in your voice. Yeah. And people have talked about that. But I think there's a lot less of it now.
I'm glad you say that. I hear it all the time.
So do you think, will it eventually go, have you tried to get rid of it? Have you gone to a speech therapist or anything?
No, I mean, the thing is...
What did you sound like before?
Yeah.
Well, like, I don't know. People pull clips from when I was 17.
Do you talk like that?
and it's really, I mean, to be honest, I heard my publicist told me the other day, you know, I try to stay off social media, so my publicist told me, you know, people are talking about your voice and these sorts of things, and it really made me self-conscious for a second, because I thought, am I being phony? Is this not my voice? And then I thought, no, I'd have to think consciously to not talk how I am right now. But my voice sounds different when I talk to my dog, or when I talk to my dad, or when I'm here right now. You know, we all have different bits of ourselves that we're releasing. But when I was really questioning it, I thought, okay, for one thing, I'm older now. Maybe sometimes I have a Southern twang, but I don't think this is Southern. If I tried to sound like Elvis, I would sound very different right now.
Don't do it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna, you'd have to pay extra for that. But the other thing is, I think from all this singing, I probably have destroyed my voice a bit. You know, my vocal cords, it's a lot raspier now. Yeah. And so I just trained a lot, you know. I trained a lot, and then it turned out that I ended up doing all the singing for that early stuff.
And it's so good. It's so good. I think people kind of raised eyebrows and went, is it really him? So Baz Luhrmann released this clip of, this is you rehearsing Jailhouse Rock.
Oh, wow.
I'm interested in that moment. So is that you kind of just channeling Elvis, or how studied is that? Like, you know, even things like the microphone lead and stuff. Is that all for watching footage?
Yeah, it's that really tricky. I often call it a tightrope because you can fall either way. Either you go into just focusing on everything meticulous, like, so that is, you know, the microphone. All that's meant to be that way. But it's so tricky when you. And I was interested in asking you about this. When you're dealing with something that you want to be very specific, but it's got to feel as though it's happening for the first time.
Yeah.
And so there was many times. Thankfully, I had a year and a half to prepare, and so there was many times where it felt completely external. And then you've got to be able to figure out the ways in which it can come from the inside out.
Yeah.
So it's all about coming back to that, you know.
And Baz Luhrmann, the way he makes films, you know, they're so visually arresting and stunning. So you make the film, and then the first time you see it is in Cannes with an audience.
Yeah.
Was it at all what you expected, or were you shocked by it? Or,
You never know how a film. We were talking about this before. You just never know how a film is going to be received. And so I had no idea. And Baz told me early on, you know, you can never predict the outcome, but what we can do is relish in the process. So the entire time we just tried to keep our mind off of the fact that anybody would ever see the film, and instead just go for truth every day and just give everything that you had at every moment. And but then there's that moment where you're sitting in the theater and you go, oh God, we're gonna watch this with everybody, and you just hope that you captured something.
Yeah.
And everybody else had seen it, but I waited for Cannes.
Will you ever do that again? It seems like a really dumb idea.
Yeah. I mean, it worked out all right, but it was nerve-wracking. You know? But it was so special because my dad was there. My dad had never been outside the country before.
Oh, wow.
And he rented a tuxedo, so he had his bow tie. I'm in the Palais with my dad, and it was really surreal. And then you get done, and Guillermo del Toro's there clapping, and it's just those surreal moments that you got to pinch yourself and just be so grateful for.
Well, as an audience member, I think it was all worth it. It is a terrific performance. We wish you the very best of luck at the Oscars. Austin Butler! Moving on to Mr. Jack Loudon. Jack brings us The Gold. It kicks off